At the beginning of the story, a cute little girl admires Adelia's appearance, thinking she looks exceptionally pretty that day. Both sit on the sofa together. The girl excitedly asks if Adelia has met Lucian, but Adelia responds that she hasn't, as the bride and groom aren't supposed to see each other before the wedding. The girl, her voice softening, admits she is nervous, and Adelia smiles, acknowledging that she is also nervous even more than she expected. Adelia places her hand near her heart, emphasizing her nervousness. The girl tries to comfort Adelia by holding her hand, assuring her that she will be the most radiant person in the world that day, making everyone envious and confident that everything will work out in her favor. Adelia, beginning to smile cheerfully, thanks the girl. Adelia reflects on the girl, Princess Ariana, marveling at how adorable she is. She notes Ariana's soft pink hair like cotton candy, her sparkling red eyes like rubies, and her chubby cheeks like fluffy marshmallows, feeling an urge to bite into them. Adelia can hardly believe that she and Princess Ariana are going to be family now, describing the experience as feeling like a dream. Just then, a knock on the door informs Adelia that it is time for her to make her entrance. Adelia makes her entrance with Lucian, while everyone in the room whispers about her, with many not happy about the situation. The priest announces the beginning of the sacred wedding ceremony under God's sovereignty. Adelia reflects on how she didn't expect to become the crown princess so quickly and notes how handsome her husband is, acknowledging the prestigious imperial family she is marrying into. The priest asks Adelia if she takes this man to be her husband, but she is lost in her thoughts. The priest calls for her attention again, and Lucian prompts her to give her answer. The priest repeats the question, asking if she, Adelia Vita, vows to change her family name and take Lucian Callum Decra as her husband. Adelia responds affirmatively and signs the wedding vow, reflecting on her new name, Adelia Rebecca Decra. The priest declares that with a drop of their blood on the written vow, it will fully become husband and wife. Lucian complies, and when Adelia drops her blood on the signature, she is shocked to see her name change from Adelia to Kimbada. Feeling uneasy, she wonders why that name appeared. However, it quickly changes back to Adelia Rebecca Decra. Scared, she reflects on the strange occurrence, worrying if she has been found out, but reassures herself that it disappeared right away and no one likely saw it. She decides to focus on the wedding. The priest then pronounces Lucian Callum Decra and Adelia Rebecca Decra husband and wife under God's holy blessing. Adelia recalls her past life. In the year 2023 in South Korea, her name was Kim Bada, age 28. She was a developer at a small company, working late as usual, when she collapsed from exhaustion. When she reopened her eyes, she had become Adelia Vita, a side character destined to die in her favorite novel, The Princess Training Diaries. Seeing herself in the mirror, she panicked, unable to believe she was Adelia, the character who dies from cardiac arrest without a single line. Adelia wasn't just any side character, but one doomed to die insignificantly. The novel was supposed to be a happy story about a princess loved by her family. Frustrated, she wondered why, out of all the characters, she had to wake up as Adelia. It seemed she was destined to die again as soon as she was reborn. Disappointed, she lamented her misfortune, questioning why her life was always like this. Determined, she resolved not to die again and refused to meet another pitiful death, telling herself to get a hold of her emotions. This wasn't the time to mope around. Adelia, taking a book, begins to write, reflecting on her situation. She feels unsure how this happened, but knows she needs to write down the story before she forgets it. Thinking of the Decra Empire, divine power, and the evil mastermind, she believes there must be a way. Suddenly, she gets an idea and recalls that in the original story, the villain possessed incredible power. White magic, the greatest power in that world. She wishes she could use white magic too. Resolving to live for her own happiness at least once, even if she isn't in her own body, she is certain she'll find it there. Thus, in order to live, she decides to attain white magic before the story's villain. Adelia searches for the cave, thinking that it matches the place depicted in the novel. She enters the cave and reaches its end, reflecting that she is certain the villain mentioned this location in the novel, stating a desire to find the ability connected to the greatest light force and the source of all power. Suddenly, lightning strikes and a door appears, shocking Adelia. A mysterious voice asks who she is. Summoning her courage, she responds that she is Adelia Vita. The voice comments that there seems to be more to her than that. Adelia reflects, realizing that the Guardian of Light can see a person's true nature. Just then, two animal-like eyes appear. Adelia clenches her fist and identifies herself as Kimbada. Reflecting that she came prepared for this much and there's no need to be scared, she declares that it's her first name. The voice remarks on her having two names, wondering if she was blessed by God. Adelia responds enigmatically, suggesting that perhaps the voice will be able to tell once they meet in person. The voice, intrigued by this interesting human, permits her to enter. As the door opens with a rumble, Adelia steps inside and is surprised to see an array of wealthy items around her, marveling at their value. The voice criticizes Adelia for being impressed by mere gold coins instead of the divine sword or itself, calling her shallow. Adelia turns back to the voice and gazes at the large divine animal surrounded by a glowing light. She responds, acknowledging that what else could one expect from a human? The divine animal introduces itself as the guardian of light, expressing surprise at encountering a human after a long time, and asks why she has come to this place. Adelia smiles confidently and without hesitation, stating that the guardian of light already knows why she's there and asks for white magic. No one could choose their parents. Adelia was no exception. When every single day was a living hell, the Princess Training Diaries was the only ray of hope that kept her going. The main character was born into a perfect life, loved by everyone. Adelia held on to the hope that perhaps someday she'd be able to live just like her. So when she miraculously woke up as a character in her favorite novel, she thought, God has finally given me a chance. She believed she'd get to live a normal life for once, surrounded by a loving family. Her hope of living out her dream grew bigger and bigger. Well, at least until she learned that the owner of this body was living the same hellish life as her. She lost her birth mother, Countess Vida, at a young age. After the Count had a son and a daughter with his mistress, she became an insignificant character who was abused by her family. A life of abuse that ended with a pitiful death. That was the fate of Adelia Vida. But if she gained white magic, she could live out the life she wanted even in a body like this. The Guardian of the Light denies Adelia's request for white magic, stating it is impossible for her to receive it in her current physical state. Adelia is shocked and asks why not, expressing her belief that she can handle it if given the chance. The Guardian of the Light insists that she cannot and tells her to stop wasting their time and leave, forbidding her from returning. Disheartened, Adelia reflects on her situation. She questions why she should leave just because she can't have white magic, feeling that she hasn't even had a chance to try. She recalls being labeled born weak, too young, and powerless in the past, never given an opportunity to prove herself. Now that a chance is within her reach, she refuses to give up. The Guardian of the Light sighs at her persistence, considering her a foolish human with a daring heart who believes her fragile body can handle white magic. The Guardian begins to criticize her capabilities, but Adelia summons her courage and provocatively addresses the Guardian as dog. The Guardian is taken aback in objects, but Adelia asserts that she can speak to them in that manner, suggesting they lack basic manners as an animal. The Guardian of the Light becomes enraged and yells at Adelia to silence her, outraged that a lowly human would dare to speak to them in such a manner. Adelia smirks in response, questioning if the Guardian plans to attack her but reminding them that they cannot harm humans. The Guardian flinches at this revelation, asking how she knows. Adelia reflects on the Guardian of Light's nature as an immortal creature tasked with protecting the power of white magic, inherently unable to harm humans. She confidently invites the Guardian to try if they wish. The Guardian scoffs, expressing disbelief that the first human to come in 300 years is such an arrogant fool, and accuses Adelia of likely seeking white magic for a foolish reason. Adelia states that she is soon going to die, capturing the Guardian of the Light's attention. She explains that she has nothing, not even the power, to escape her fate, so she seeks to extend her life with white magic and perhaps seek revenge on a few people as well. The Guardian of the Light recalls hearing other reasons for wanting white magic, such as uniting the entire world, becoming a god, or ruling over everyone, and reflecting on how the current empire is deeply corrupted and someone wants to build a new empire. The Guardian of the Light admits that Adelia's reason is indeed the most realistic and honest one that he has heard so far. Adelia declares that she aims to have enough authority to prevent anyone from looking down on her again so that she can live as she pleases. The Guardian of the Light questions if she wishes to take over the throne, but Adelia clarifies that while she plans to temporarily join the imperial family, she seeks a different kind of authority. One that is equally respected by everyone, particularly through financial means. She expresses her desire not to be used or treated as an object anymore and vows to live happily and freely from now on. Impressed by her ambition, the Guardian of the Light asks what she is willing to offer in exchange for white magic. Adelia smirks as she reflects on the Guardian of the Light, knowing he has been stuck for centuries protecting white magic, likely very curious about the outside world. She confidently tells him that what she offers will probably be the best thing he's ever received, the opportunity to see her memories. Adelia reflects that her memories cannot be observed by anyone else in this world. The Guardian of the Light scoffs, pointing out the kinds of payments humans have historically made for white magic and questioning why she offers only her memories, not to give them away, but merely to let him see. Adelia responds boldly, asserting that her memories will entertain him far more than any others could. She reveals that her first name was the one she used in her previous life and guarantees that her past memories are something he has never seen or heard of before. She offers to show them to him instead of giving them away outright. The Guardian of the Light hesitates, expressing concern about trusting Adelia with her offer of memories. Adelia responds playfully, teasing that she was going to specially show her memories to him as the guardian of light, emphasizing their priceless nature. Intrigued, the guardian questions if her memories are truly that valuable. Adelia confirms they are one of a kind and promises to show them to him exclusively. After some consideration, the guardian agrees, cautioning Adelia about the power and side effects of white magic, which can be used for healing and protection but may have adverse effects due to her unique nature. Adelia interrupts, asking if these side effects could instantly kill her. The guardian reassures her it won't be that severe. Adelia smiles, relieved as long as she doesn't face immediate death. The guardian of the light accepts Adelia's offer and takes possession of her memories, remarking on her unusual nature. He expresses curiosity about the kind of white mage she will become. Adelia feels the magic coursing through her and reflects on the sensation of white magic, warm and comforting. She rejoices internally, realizing she's finally become a white mage. Reflecting further, Adelia understands that this newfound power may only temporarily strengthen her weak body. However, she is determined that as long as she possesses this power, she will be immune to poison and physical attacks. This ability will prevent others from ever abusing her again. The Guardian of the Light reflects on Adelia's memories, impressed by their uniqueness, and admitting they surpass his expectations. He acknowledges that these memories will keep him entertained for a long time, possibly 500 years. However, he wonders if these memories are from Adelia's previous life, realizing she has had a significant past despite initially seeing her as arrogant. Turning to Adelia, the Guardian informs her that their contract will be complete once she gives him a name. Adelia is surprised and reflects that she doesn't recall this part from the original story. The Guardian of the Light offers special treatment to Adelia, acknowledging her unstable nature and agreeing to serve her as his master. He explains that she can summon him whenever needed and he will assist her in times of danger. Upon finalizing their contract, they will be connected in this pact. Adelia considers the offer and decides it's not a bad deal for her. She agrees enthusiastically and suggests the name Kai for the Guardian. Kai grins, accepting the name, noting that it means ocean in the divine language. Thus, from that moment onward, his name is Kai. Kai, now reduced in size, expresses his approval of the change to Adelia, referring to her as Master. Adelia playfully pats Kai and asks if she can take a few gold coins from the place. Kai sighs and reluctantly agrees. Adelia begins filling her bag with gold coins. Then she remembers Kai's mention of side effects and asks him to explain them to her. Kai proceeds to detail the potential consequences. Adelia's expression turns solemn upon hearing about the side effects. However, she quickly puts on a smile and remarks that it's not like she's going to die or anything. She then declares that they should get going because she has a lot of things to start. Kai asks where they are headed, suggesting her house. Adelia dismisses the idea, stating they need to go make money. 3 years later, at an auction, the auctioneer announces the last item of the day with great excitement. The item, a white magic stone, is personally offered by the owner of the auction house and Aline's chief, Marie. It's described as the rarest item ever shown in the history of the auction house, being the first white magic stone found in 300 years. Bidding begins fervently, with people shouting out their offers minus 200 gold, then 300 gold, and escalating to 500 gold. Suddenly, a masked man raises the bid dramatically to 5,000 gold, leaving everyone gasping in astonishment. The auctioneer counts down and declares the item sold in disbelief. The man expressed surprise at the appearance of the white magic stone, considering two possible explanations. Either the chief of the line is acquainted with a white mage, or the chief themselves is a white mage. Lucian receives instructions from His Majesty to find and bring Aline's chief to him, to which Lucian acknowledges and agrees. In the newspaper, it is reported that the merchant company Aline emerged suddenly in the Empire 3 years ago. Known for their selection of rare items, unique advertising methods, and capable vice chief, they are considered the Empire's fourth most powerful group. The chief of the line is only known by the name Marie, prompting speculation about their identity. Some suggest that the vice chief may actually be the real chief. A man with green hair becomes enraged upon reading the news. He throws the newspaper in frustration, protesting the association of himself with their great chief, asserting vehemently that he is nothing more than her slave. Just as Adelia enters, Colin, the green-haired man, is caught up in frustration over the newspaper. He initially doesn't notice Adelia's arrival, but quickly realizes she is there. Adelia scolds him, telling him not to concern himself with the news and to ignore it. Colin, filled with excitement, lifts Adelia up in the air, expressing how much he missed her. Adelia, surprised and dizzy, protests and asks him to put her down, admonishing him for doing this every time. Relenting, Colin agrees and acknowledges her command with a "Yes, ma'am." Adelia expresses exasperation at Colin's enthusiastic greeting, questioning why he feels the need to do it every time he sees her. Colin responds by explaining that her presence brings him immense joy, addressing her as chief. Adelia dismisses his sentiment and asks for the report. Colin informs her that, as requested, the Emperor won the bid for the white magic stone at the auction. He also mentions that the Emperor ordered the Crown Prince to capture her and that rumors are circulating about Elaine's chief being a white mage. Adelia listens thoughtfully to the report and acknowledges his information with a contemplative I see. Colin, taken aback, asks Adelia where she obtained the white magic stone. Adelia casually admits that she made it herself, smiling at his reaction. Colin, initially unfazed, assumes it makes sense. Suddenly, Colin realizes the implications and is shocked beyond belief. He stammers in disbelief, unable to comprehend that Adelia is indeed a white mage. Adelia, annoyed by his outburst, tells him to lower his voice. Colin expresses his sense of betrayal, questioning how Adelia could keep such a significant secret from him after their years together. He demands to know why she chose to reveal it now if she had been hiding it all along. Adelia chuckles and explains that it was always her plan for the white magic stone to end up in the Emperor's hands. Adelia instructed Colin to make an appointment with the dress shop for her, emphasizing her need to attend the imperial ball. Colin questioned her reasons for wanting to go. Adelia then showed him a letter, revealing it to be the ball invitation. Colin expressed surprise upon realizing the purpose of the upcoming ball, to select the future crown princess, and questioned whether Adelia, as a high-ranking noble, could attend. Adelia confirmed that she was indeed the daughter of a count and expressed surprise that she hadn't previously informed Colin about her noble status, leaving him visibly shocked. Adelia revealed her real name as Adelia Vita to Colin, who was shocked to learn that she belonged to the Vita family, which owed a substantial debt to their company. He had noticed she never pressured them to repay the money, and now understood why. Adelia brushed off his observations and instructed him to book the dress shop appointment under her real name. As Colin hesitated with another question, Adelia gave him a stern look. He nervously asked if her actions regarding the white magic stone and attending the imperial ball were motivated by her desire to become the crown princess. Adelia confirmed his suspicion, stating that indeed she aimed to achieve that position. Colin expressed his surprise at Adelia's sudden ambition to become the crown princess, noting that as a noble, she already enjoyed a life many would envy. Adelia responded passionately, explaining that despite her noble status, she felt constrained. She expressed her desire to break free from the traditional roles imposed on noblewomen, either being married off or living under the authority of their house's head. Adelia's goal was to obtain her own title and become the head of her own household, seeking independence and autonomy. Colin suggested that becoming the crown princess would be the most certain path for Adelia to achieve her goals. He pointed out that even if she divorced later, she would retain a noble title and be respected as a former member of the imperial family. Adelia reflected on her options, considering that she could potentially bring down Count Vita and have her abilities recognized to replace him as the head of House Vita. However, she acknowledged the difficulty of gaining recognition even as the chief of the line. Becoming the crown princess, on the other hand, seemed like a more straightforward way to dismantle House Vita and achieve her ambitions. Moreover, it would allow her to meet Princess Ariana, a prospect that excited her. Adelia grinned, thinking that if she had been reincarnated into this novel, she should at least have the opportunity to encounter her favorite character. Colin hesitated, questioning Adelia's smile, which seemed somewhat unsettling to him. Adelia quickly refuted his observation, asserting that she was planning to propose a deal with the crown prince. Colin expressed doubt about the prince's willingness to agree immediately. Adelia confidently replied that she could entice him with the trading rights for white magic stones. This made Colin nervous, as he feared Adelia might be trying to offload diplomatic burdens onto the prince. Adelia teased him with a playful smile, acknowledging his quick grasp of the situation and remarking on why she appreciated him. Adelia discussed the challenges of exporting white magic stones due to bureaucratic hurdles for private businesses, contrasting with the imperial family's ability to navigate such obstacles effortlessly. Colin marveled at her foresight despite her younger age. Adelia redirected the conversation back to work, prompting Colin to acknowledge her command with a resigned jest about being her slave. Reflecting on the company's future growth under Adelia's leadership, Colin expressed a mix of admiration and apprehension about its potential expansion. Lucian addressed his knights and others with frustration, reprimanding them for failing to focus solely on finding a line's chief. He expressed anger that despite their efforts, they not only failed to capture the chief, but also obtained no new information. One knight explained that they did catch the vice chief near the auction house, but he escaped using an artifact. Lucian seethed at the vice chief's evasiveness, accusing him of utilizing various rare artifacts to elude capture. Lucian deduced that the vice chief had a white mage personally crafting artifacts for him, explaining how he consistently evaded capture. He had reflected on the historical significance of white mages, noting that the last one was the first emperor of Decra, credited with leading the continent to prosperity. Now another white mage had emerged after 300 years, likely to wield significant influence over the empire. Lucian emphasized the urgency of finding them before others did, suggesting that offering them the position of imperial mage would be necessary to ensure their loyalty to the empire. The rumor of Aline's chief being a white mage has spread throughout the entire continent. Another knight added that this news isn't just concerning the people of Decra. Those from other empires have begun searching for the chief as well. Lucian expressed concern over the potential uproar in the empire and urged his knights to continue searching for the chief. He emphasized the importance of capturing them before they fell into the wrong hands, stressing that whether won over or threatened, it must be us who controls them, even if it came to eliminating them. The knights acknowledged his orders, and Lucian lamented how their needless integrity was complicating matters. He vowed to confront them this time, determined to see their high and mighty face. Adelia was at her home. Lobelia Vita, Count Vita's second daughter, twirled enthusiastically. She asked if she looked good and whether she would be able to grab the crown prince's attention. The count affirmed that his sweet Lobelia would be the belle of the ball. The countess chimed in, asking about herself, to which the count responded that their daughter was beautiful because she took after her mother. Adelia then appeared early, which irritated the count, who acknowledged her presence reluctantly. Lobelia expressed her disdain, questioning why Adelia had to come along with them, and the countess hoped that Adelia wouldn't embarrass the family. The count remarked that Adelia looked a lot healthier than the last time he saw her, musing that he might be able to get even more money for her. Adelia did not reply, but her inner rage reflected on how this was around the time she was sold off to some old count. The count instructed her to take the carriage in the back and warned her not to do anything that could bring shame to the family at the ball, advising her to stay quietly in the corner. Adelia responded affirmatively and reflected on enduring the situation a bit longer, knowing it would not do her any good to attract the man's attention. Suddenly, a man grabbed Adelia's hand, shocking her. He greeted her, saying it had been a long time. Adelia demanded that he let her go, addressing him as David. He dismissed her glare, commenting on her appearance and implying she had been living comfortably. Adelia pulled her hand away and yelled at him to let her go, reflecting in rage that he was a disgusting sex offender. David, Count Vita's eldest son, teased her for being scary. Adelia seethed internally, thinking about how he used his family name to assault innocent women and how she wanted to throw him in jail. She vowed that a scumbag like him deserved a far worse punishment and resolved to drag him down to the depths of hell with her own two hands. At the debutante ball party, an announcement heralded the entrance of His Majesty the Emperor and His Highness the Crown Prince. The Emperor and Crown Prince Lucian entered and took their seats as everyone knelt and chanted, "God save our brilliant son." The Emperor then allowed everyone to rise. Adelia reflected that this was exactly like the novel. In the original story, only the Emperor and the Crown Prince attended this ball too. The Crown Prince pointed out the shameful histories of the families of all the attending ladies, threatening them not to take the position of Crown Princess lightly. It was no wonder he gained the reputation of a tyrant. Adelia wondered if she should begin now. Using her white magic, she started to attract the attention of the Emperor and Crown Prince Lucian. She mused that normal people would just feel a bit happier, but anyone familiar with white magic would quickly recognize his presence. She was confident they wouldn't miss her. Lucian noticed the presence of white magic and alerted the Emperor, who also sensed it and found it troublesome. Lucian then remarked that he didn't expect the white mage to personally make an appearance, and looking at Adelia, wondered if she could just be a stand-in. The Emperor pointed out to Lucian that no stand-in should be capable of giving off this kind of energy. Lucian realized then that the woman truly was the white mage. The Emperor, surprised by her youth, glared and expressed his concern that she would openly reveal herself like this. Adelia felt a surge of nervousness, reflecting that although she expected some hostility, she wondered if she would die that night. She reassured herself that they couldn't kill her anyway, and if they tried, she could always just run away. Lucian scoffed at Adelia, remarking on her brazenness. He rose from his seat and walked towards her, extending his hand and asking for her first dance. Adelia smiled and accepted, saying it would be her honor, your highness. Everyone at the party murmured among themselves about Adelia, wondering who she was for the Crown Prince to personally ask her for a dance. They speculated about which family she belonged to and noted that they had never seen her before. Adelia and Lucian began to dance. Adelia expressed her honor, telling Lucian that he had no idea how long she had waited for this moment. She asked if he could hear her heartbeat, which was going so fast she thought it might burst. Lucian dismissed her words as nonsense. Adelia insisted she was serious, adding that his disbelief saddened her. She patted his chest, subtly showing her white magic. Lucian immediately recognized the energy of white magic and demanded to know what she was doing. However, as her white magic took effect, Lucian reflected in surprise that his body felt a lot lighter, realizing that this must be the power of white magic. Adelia asked Lucian if he felt less tired now. Lucian demanded to know the meaning of her actions. Adelia playfully dodged the question, instead asking for his opinion on her hair, into which she had put a lot of effort. Lucian replied that he had seen something similar at the auction house a few days ago. Adelia confirmed that he was right, revealing that the decorations in her hair were also white magic stones that she had made herself. Lucian twitched at this revelation, reflecting in disbelief that she could be a white mage. He thought about how small and fragile she appeared, worrying that he might break her if he grabbed her too hard. Adelia, noticing his grip, reassured him that she wouldn't break even if he grabbed her that hard, teasingly asking if he was trying to show off his strength to her. Lucian was taken aback by Adelia's boldness. He questioned her intentions, asking what she wanted. Adelia provocatively suggested that they go somewhere they could be alone where she could tell him. Lucian reacted strongly, incredulous that she would dare to request a private meeting with the crown prince in such a manner. Adelia pointed out the crowded surroundings, implying it would be foolish for her to reveal all of her power there. Lucian gritted his teeth, noting that she seemed to have no sense of fear at all. Adelia calmly replied that she simply wanted to offer him a fair deal, asserting that there was nothing to fear. The Emperor observed that Lucian was openly showing all of his emotions and noted that he still had a long way to go as the crown prince. In contrast, Adelia, who appeared younger than Lucian, was much better at containing herself, displaying a natural composure that the Emperor found very interesting. Adelia realized the Emperor's gaze was making her nervous and reflected on whether she had provoked him too much, fearing that he might try to kill her at this rate. Lucian demanded that she reveal her objective if she wanted to talk privately with him. Adelia thought to herself that she couldn't reveal her objective there because even if she leaned close to Lucian, it would be game over the moment someone read her lips. She reminded herself that the song was going to end soon and that she needed to persuade the crown prince before then. Adelia assured that the deal would not be a loss for Lucian, noting that the song was almost over and questioning if he was all right with letting her go like this. Lucian sternly guaranteed that the moment she tried anything funny, her head would no longer be where it was. Adelia, with a nervous smile, requested that when the music stopped, he invite her to the drawing room, bowing and remarking on the shortness of the song. Lucian agreed and, holding her hand, kissed it in front of everyone, then asked if she would spare him some of her precious time, inviting her to the drawing room. People began to gossip about Lucian and Adelia, surprised at the private meeting request. Adelia replied that she would be honored, and they left together. The Emperor declared that since the main figure of the occasion had left, there was no reason for him to stay either. People began talking about Adelia, wondering who she was, which family she belonged to, and if she and the crown prince were previously acquainted. This made Adelia's sister, Lobelia, jealous and unable to handle her emotions. She yelled, demanding to know from her father why Adelia had danced with the crown prince and why she was getting to go to the drawing room with him. The countess, supporting Lobelia, urged her husband to say something, questioning what Adelia was scheming. The count reflected on Adelia, realizing that he had only expected to send her to become Count Carla's mistress and never imagined she would catch the crown prince's eye. He thought she was just a naive girl, but now saw that she could be useful. If things went well, he might be able to make connections with the imperial family, and even if she died, he'd still profit from it. Lobelia, annoyed, yelled, asking if he was listening to her and expressing disbelief about Adelia's success. The count, enraged, grabbed her hand tightly and scolded her, telling her to stop talking and be quiet, pointing out that she had utterly failed to be noticed by the crown prince and had no right to complain. Lobelia trembled in disbelief, stammering as she addressed her father. The count urged Lobelia to understand the potential benefits if Adelia managed to seduce the crown prince, emphasizing how much they would gain from it. He suggested that as her older sister, Adelia would help find Lobelia the good husband. Then he provocatively proposed that Lobelia try to steal Adelia's spot next to the crown prince, noting that she was younger and healthier than Adelia, implying that the crown prince might prefer her as his wife. The countess, intrigued, asked if he meant that Lobelia could become crown princess. The count confirmed, stating that Lobelia was better in many ways. Lobelia, caught in the moment, began to think about the possibility of becoming crown princess herself. Adelia reflected on how persuading the crown prince had been easier than she thought. However, she knew she couldn't let her guard down, aware that he might change his mind and kill her. She understood that the imperial family was ruthless, eliminating anyone they deemed useless, and noted that everyone in the family was merciless except for Princess Ariana. As they arrived at their destination, Lucian indicated that they should talk inside. Upon entering, Adelia was surprised to find the Emperor already there, wondering when he had arrived. Adelia curtsied and greeted the emperor, expressing that it was an honor. The emperor cut her off, dismissing her greeting and instructing her to sit down. Adelia complied and introduced herself as Adelia Vita, the eldest daughter of Count Vita, and mentioned that she ran a small company called A Line. The emperor reflected on the fact that A Line's chief was indeed a white mage. He then questioned her description of A Line as a small company, sarcastically suggesting that if Aline was small, other companies must be mere local street vendors. Adelia laughed, explaining that most people call this modesty. The emperor sternly countered that he considered it hypocrisy. Lucian questioned Adelia, asking how she could prove she was the chief of the line and a white mage. Adelia remarked that she thought she had already proven herself while they danced earlier, but acknowledged it must not have been enough for him. She then presented a large, spherical object with her magic, asking if that would suffice. Lucian, stunned, recognized it as the same thing he had seen in the report about Aline. Adelia asked if she needed to show more. Lucian, after a pause, asked why she was revealing herself now after hiding for 3 years, demanding to know what she wanted. Adelia calmly stated her request. She asked him to marry her. Lucian became angry, questioning who Adelia thought she was to arrogantly covet the position of crown princess. Adelia calmly replied that it would only be for 2 years. Lucian, taken aback, asked if she was proposing a deal. Adelia confirmed, explaining that she wanted the power that came with being crown princess and the support of the imperial family. She outlined her plan. After the 2 years of marriage, they would divorce, and he would grant her a noble title and a small piece of land. The emperor interjected, reminding Adelia that having a title meant she must remain loyal to the empire for life. Adelia assured him that her business was entirely based in the empire, implying she had no intention of leaving. Lucian questioned what Adelia could offer in return for becoming crown princess. Adelia responded that she would allow them to have a monopoly on white magic stones. As for her dowry, she proposed offering the divine sword. The emperor expressed surprise, noting that speaking of possessing the divine sword implied she knew its location. Adelia clarified that she did know its whereabouts but couldn't wield a sword herself and couldn't sell it either, seeing it as useless to her. She believed the sword should belong to someone who could make good use of it. Lucian, impressed, acknowledged that offering the divine sword as a dowry was quite legendary. The emperor questioned why Adelia was offering both the white magic stones and the divine sword to become crown princess, when there were other ways to obtain a title without marriage. Adelia explained that her goal was complete independence from her family, and this deal was the best way she could achieve it without facing repercussions. Lucian reflected that the offer seemed too good to be true if independence was all she sought. He doubted whether it could even be called a true deal. He wondered about Adelia's true intentions and whether she was being truthful about her motives or if she had other schemes in mind. Adelia stated that she wouldn't mind if Lucian kept a mistress or lover as long as it didn't undermine her position. Her primary aim was the authority of a crown princess, not his affection. However, she emphasized the importance of appearing as a loving couple in public, knowing a crown princess needed the crown prince's favor to wield influence. The emperor challenged her, stating that her conditions were exceptionally favorable if independence was her sole goal. He pressed her to explain why she sought such power. Adelia responded firmly that her intention was to bring down House Vita and obliterate its name completely. Lucian and the emperor were taken aback by her revelation, especially since House Vita was her own family. Despite this, the emperor decided to hear her out further. Adelia revealed that she had suffered greatly at the hands of her family and desired personal revenge against them, believing that the only one who could truly protect her was herself. Lucian reflected that he had never planned on getting married anyway and saw nothing to lose from this deal, but hesitated in giving a response. Adelia, growing impatient with his silence, reflected that perhaps she had brought up the white magic stones and the divine sword too early. She understood that Lucian might not fully grasp her motivations. However, if he rejected her now, her entire plan would fail. With a sigh, she decided she had no other choice but to show him her trump card. Adelia stood up and declared that Lucian would understand her once he saw something. She began to expose her back, intending to reveal a scar. The emperor interrupted, demanding to know what she was doing, while Lucian expressed shock at the impropriety of a noble lady exposing herself like that. Despite their reactions, Adelia proceeded to show them the scar on her back, leaving both the emperor and Lucian visibly stunned. Adelia revealed the scars on her back, explaining that they were inflicted by her own family. She detailed that the longest scar was from her stepmother when she was 7, and a burn mark below it was made by her little sister out of curiosity when she was 11. The emperor, unimpressed, questioned if she was trying to win their pity. Adelia clarified that she wasn't seeking pity but wanted to show the depth of her determination, given their suspicions about her intentions due to her substantial offer. She asserted that this wasn't a losing deal for her, nor was it made on a whim. She expressed her desire to exact revenge on her family, aiming to make them suffer multiple times over the pain they inflicted on her. Lucian interrupted, telling her it was enough. Adelia, surprised, addressed him, "Your Highness." Lucian stood up and covered Adelia's back, telling her she had made her point and could stop. Adelia, surprised, wondered if he pitied her or if she reminded him of Princess Ariana. Lucian then addressed the Emperor, saying that if Adelia was willing to sign a contract, he saw no reason to refuse her proposal. The Emperor responded, allowing Lucian to proceed as he wished. Lucian stated that they had all the contract terms organized. Adelia added one last request, asking to move into the palace as soon as possible. Lucian informed Adelia that he would send a carriage and a knight to the Vita Manor the next day, advising her to make any necessary preparations and mentioning she could use a guest room for the time being. Adelia, surprised by the quick timeline, confirmed tomorrow. Lucian affirmed and added that they would also have the contract notarized both legally and by magic the following day to ensure there were no complications later. Adelia bowed, acknowledging his instructions, and reflected that Lucian was still suspicious of her. She realized her plan might be jeopardized if she wasn't careful and knew she couldn't let her guard down. She then expressed that she looked forward to their marriage. At the Vita household, early in the morning, Lobelia, in frustration, stomped into Adelia's room and yelled, demanding to know what trick Adelia had played the previous day. Adelia rebuked her, asking who had taught her to barge into someone's room without knocking and criticizing her lack of manners. In response, Lobelia smacked Adelia, insisting she reveal what she did to make the crown prince want to meet with her privately. Annoyed, Adelia muttered her frustration, reflecting on how this behavior was precisely why she wanted to leave the place as soon as possible. She wondered if Lobelia could not be quiet for just one day. Lobelia, furious, demanded if Adelia was ignoring her and screamed for an answer. Adelia, unfazed, questioned why she should tell Lobelia anything and instructed her to stop yelling and leave. Enraged, Lobelia shouted, incredulous, that Adelia would dare talk back to her. Adelia, internally sighing, reflected on how Lobelia got angry whether she spoke or stayed silent, wondering what Lobelia actually wanted. Teasingly, Adelia asked if Lobelia was jealous. Shocked, Lobelia stuttered, asking what Adelia had just said. Meanwhile, the Imperial guards arrived and were walking towards Adelia's room. Adelia, addressing Lobelia, pointed out that the crown prince hadn't even glanced her way, yet Adelia had the chance to dance with him and speak with him privately, suggesting it was driving Lobelia mad. Trembling with anger, Lobelia could only stand there as Adelia scoffed, acknowledging that while Lobelia was healthier, prettier, and younger, the crown prince still chose Adelia over her. Lobelia, unable to accept the truth, became even more annoyed with Adelia, calling her a worthless wench. She was about to slap Adelia when the Imperial guards entered the room, interrupting her. One of the guards certainly asked what she thought she was doing. Startled, Lobelia demanded to know who they were. As one of the guards stepped forward, making Lobelia even more frightened, she stammered, asking how they dared to barge in. The guard introduced himself as Dion, commander of the Imperial Guard, stating that he was there on the Crown Prince's orders. He reiterated his question about what Lobelia was doing, his tone stern and authoritative. Lobelia, now more scared, responded with a subdued, Adelia intervened, assuring the guards that it was merely a small quarrel between sisters. She acknowledged Dion as the knight sent by the Crown Prince and asked if they could turn away for a moment since she was still in her nightgown. The guards, blushing, complied with Dion's stammering apology. Adelia reflected on her surprise at the Crown Prince, sending the commander of the Imperial Guard himself. She recognized Dion Kreider as the youngest knight to hold that position and noted his close ties to the Imperial family as the Crown Prince's right hand. She realized that Lucian was accommodating her much better than she had expected. Adelia smiled and told the guards they could raise their heads. Dion apologized again, feeling slightly embarrassed. At that moment, the Count, Countess, and David arrived, confused about what was happening. They were shocked to see the Imperial guards kneeling before Adelia. Dion introduced himself formally and announced that he had come to escort Lady Adelia Vita as per the Crown Prince's orders, declaring that from that moment onward, she would receive treatment befitting the Crown Princess. Her family stood stunned and scared, unable to process the sudden shift in Adelia's status. Adelia glanced at her family, reflecting on their past treatment of her. She found it interesting how they had always looked down on her and now struggled to accept that she was above them. Smiling, she silently questioned how long they had expected her to live as a mere daughter of a count. Adelia, exuding confidence, stated that she would prepare to leave for the palace immediately and asked Dion for a moment to get ready. Dion respectfully bowed and agreed, telling her to take her time. Meanwhile, Lobelia, unable to believe what was happening, reflected in disbelief. She couldn't accept that Adelia was going to become the crown princess. Frustrated and desperate, Lobelia grabbed Adelia's hand and accused her of lying, insisting that this was all part of her scheme. She demanded to know the meaning of this nonsense. Adelia yanked her hand away, annoyed with Lobelia, and warned her to be more careful with her words from now on. Adelia teased with a smile, reminding Lobelia that as a daughter of a count, she should behave better to protect the family's reputation. She cautioned Lobelia that every word she spoke could impact their family's standing. In a lower voice, Lobelia protested, demanding to be let go and questioning Adelia's authority. But Adelia, now with a hint of menace in her tone, reminded her that while they were sisters, Adelia deserved respect as Lobelia's superior. Trembling with anxiety, Lobelia found herself overwhelmed by this sudden shift in dynamics. Adelia asserted that she had chosen the crown prince, not the other way around, shocking Lobelia deeply. In her mind, Lobelia heard her father's disapproving voice. Adelia continued, warning Lobelia that the crown prince would never choose her and advising her not to get her hopes up. Unable to handle the truth, Lobelia shoved Adelia and accused her of lying. Adelia responded sternly, reminding Lobelia of her earlier warning to behave. She commented on Lobelia's lips, urging her to use them for better words. Lobelia flinched at Adelia's seriousness. Smiling at the guards, Adelia requested everyone to wait outside. Lucian informed Adelia that the contract had been notarized both legally and by magic, ensuring that all the conditions they discussed were included. Adelia confirmed that nothing was missing and signed the contract, officially becoming his fiancée. Lucian extended his hand for a handshake, expressing his anticipation of working with her. Adelia, however, did not respond to the handshake immediately. Instead, she questioned whether he was hiding a poison needle in his hand, asserting that poison did not work on her. Lucian smirked, acknowledging her immunity to poison and remarking that to kill a white mage, he would need the divine sword, not just a measly poison needle. Adelia questioned why Lucian was treating her so respectfully all of a sudden, noting that his attitude seemed to have changed. She pointed out that the man she saw yesterday did not seem this kind. Lucian explained that she had been just another noble lady to him before, but now she was his fiancée. He emphasized that it was only natural to show respect to someone who would soon be a member of the imperial family, even if it was just a business deal. Adelia, reflecting on his words, considered that his behavior made sense given how much he treasured his family and wondered if he now considered her family too. She then shook his hand, expressing her anticipation of working with him as well. Adelia requested that Lucian not call her by her family name, preferring to rid herself of it as soon as possible. Lucian agreed and offered to escort her to her room. Suddenly, Princess Ariana burst into the room with a beautiful smile, calling out to Lucian as she ran towards him. Lucian acknowledged her, and Adelia's heartbeat increased, wondering what was happening. Ariana noticed Adelia and stared at her, folding her hands and calling her a fairy. Adelia wondered if this child could indeed be Princess Ariana. Ariana scurried over to Adelia, asking excitedly who she was, calling her Miss Fairy. Adelia couldn't believe how adorable the little princess was, reflecting on her cuteness and likening her to fluffy cotton candy. Introducing herself, Adelia invited the princess to call her by her first name. Ariana, holding Adelia's hand and beaming with happiness, introduced herself as Ariana Fluss Dekra and expressed how nice it was to meet her. Adelia responded with a polite thank you, addressing her as Your Highness. Adelia expressed her hope for getting along with Ariana, but Lucian stepped in between them, sternly stating that his sister shouldn't address Adelia by just her name. Adelia, shocked and disappointed, thought to herself about Lucian's sudden intervention. She tried to protest, saying she didn't mind, but Lucian insisted it was against good etiquette. Adelia, glaring but laughing, pointed out that Ariana seemed quite happy calling her Adelia. Lucian, however, remained firm, repeating that it was still against etiquette. Ariana tugged on Lucian's shirt, her voice sad as she asked if she really couldn't call Adelia by her name. Seeing her cute, sad face, Lucian hesitated and tried to explain that as an imperial princess, she must follow etiquette, but Ariana's wish to be good friends with Adelia left him without an answer. Finally, he patted her head and conceded, allowing her to do as she wished. Ariana's face lit up with happiness, and she hugged him, proclaiming him the best. Adelia watched this scene, her heart warming as she softly called out, Your Highness Tilde Adelia. Wanting to get closer to Ariana, persuaded her by mentioning she had picked up some desserts from the Aline bakery. Ariana jolted with excitement, exclaiming that she had heard it was the most popular place in the capital and that their desserts were her favorite. She quickly scurried over to Adelia. Adelia then invited her to come to her room so they could share the desserts together. Ariana eagerly agreed, saying she would love to. Lucian, watching the interaction, felt a pang of jealousy. Adelia asked Lucian why he was just standing there and requested him to escort them to her room. She then turned to Ariana and inquired about her favorite dessert, sharing that hers was a strawberry croissant. Ariana excitedly responded that she loved chocolate muffins with whipped cream on top. Meanwhile, Lucian sighed to himself, realizing that he had only taught Ariana to be cautious around men, but perhaps he should have warned her about women as well. In Adelia's room, Ariana sat in Adelia's lap and indulged in desserts. Adelia offered more, encouraging her to enjoy as much as she wanted. Ariana happily complied. However, Adelia noticed Lucian's disappointment. She addressed him, saying that he should try some of it too, as it wasn't very sweet. Lucian declined, stating that he didn't like sweets. Undeterred, Adelia assured him that this particular dessert should be to his taste. Ariana chimed in, urging Lucian to give it a try. But Lucian remained uninterested, claiming he wasn't in the mood for desserts. Ariana's voice lowered sadly as she mentioned that it was really delicious. Despite her frustration with Lucian, Adelia managed to smile. Ariana realized she had thought she had tried every cake from A-Line Bakery before, but today she had the chance to taste many new things. Adelia explained that it was because she had only brought out the new desserts, revealing herself as the chief of the line. Ariana was stunned upon hearing this and dropped her spoon in disbelief. She exclaimed, "What? You're the chief of the line?" Adelia hastily whispered that it was supposed to be a secret and asked Ariana not to tell anyone. Ariana assured her, "Of course not. You can trust me." Meanwhile, Lucian interrupted, asking if Adelia was finally done hiding the fact that she was a white mage. Lucian reflected on how, despite facing various threats over the past 3 years, Adelia had steadfastly refused to reveal herself. Adelia, patting Ariana's head, told Lucian that it was acceptable for Her Highness to know about her identity. She noted that the entire continent was already aware of the rumor that Align's chief was a white mage, which she confirmed to be true. Lucian questioned whether Adelia's reluctance to deny the rumor was a tactic to increase her company's value. Adelia denied this, hinting that her company was already sufficiently valuable. She expressed her desire for white magic stones to be commercialized in the Empire. Lucian's eyes widened in response to her statement. Adelia expressed her wish for everyone, both nobles and commoners, to have access to white magic stones. She explained that the power of these stones varied based on their size, with even the smallest crumb possessing purifying capabilities. Adelia proposed selling the stones that were too small for commercial value at a reduced price, believing it would greatly enhance the lives of commoners. Lucian agreed that if the goal was to improve the lives of their people, he had no objections. However, he emphasized that the commercialization of the stones should be limited to within the Empire. Adelia emphasized the importance of keeping the fact that the crown princess was a white mage secret for their plan to succeed. Lucian asked if this concern was because of the nobles. Meanwhile, Ariana looked confused by their conversation. Adelia confirmed that it was indeed because of the nobles. She explained that if they discovered the crown princess was producing and selling white magic stones, they would likely interfere and disrupt their plans. She elaborated that the nobles would assert it was not just the crown princess's business, but also the imperial family's, and then they would seek to invest in it, potentially causing complications. Lucian agreed that nobles with investment ties to the imperial family wouldn't miss such an opportunity. Adelia affirmed his observation, explaining that once the market for white magic stones expanded, these invested nobles would likely claim monopolistic rights. She suggested that if white magic stones became widely used, it could serve as a means to regulate the nobles and significantly enhance the lives of everyone in the empire. She requested Lucian's cooperation in this endeavor. Lucian raised concerns about the stones circulating beyond their empire. Adelia reassured him that she had already relinquished trading rights exclusively to the imperial family to prevent such a scenario. Lucian reflected on Adelia's strategy, realizing that by entrusting the imperial family with exclusive trading rights, she implied it was their responsibility to prevent smuggling of the stones outside the empire. He acknowledged her cunning in this move, understanding that as long as they could control circulation within their borders, they could potentially sell white magic stones to neighboring countries at premium prices. Lucian stood up from his seat decisively, declaring that they needed to draft a detailed contract as soon as possible. He then took Ariana from Adelia's lap, insisting she come to him. Ariana squirmed in protest, expressing her desire to stay with Adelia. Despite Ariana's discontent, Lucian seated her on his lap, prompting her to pout at him. Curious, Ariana asked Adelia if she was a mage. Adelia responded affirmatively, adding that she was a mage who was a bit more unique than others. Adelia snapped her fingers, causing golden butterflies to appear around Ariana. Ariana was enchanted by their warmth and beauty, feeling her heart relax and her happiness increase. Adelia explained that she had infused her magic into the butterflies. As a white mage specializing in healing and defense, her magic had soothing effects. Taking advantage of the distraction, Ariana escaped from Lucian and hurried over to Adelia. Lucian, shocked by her sudden move, called out to Ariana in surprise. Ariana expressed her admiration for Adelia, marveling at her abilities. Adelia promised to transform one of the butterflies into an artifact for Ariana, ensuring it would always bring her happiness and protect her from any danger. Adelia pondered over what gift would be best for Ariana. She debated between a ring, dismissing it as potentially uncomfortable for Ariana at her age, and a necklace adorned with a red jewel resembling the princess's eyes. Then, considering a hair accessory, she thought it might suit Ariana well. Meanwhile, Lucian observed them, reflecting on how they seemed completely immersed in their own private world. Ariana grew sleepy, and her maid escorted her to her room. Before leaving, Ariana bid Adelia farewell, referring to her as Miss Fairy. Adelia noticed Lucian's intense stare, which made her nervous. Wondering why he was looking at her that way, Lucian questioned Adelia's strong affection for Ariana, acknowledging the princess's charm but questioning Adelia's unconditional love for someone she had only met that day. Adelia felt saddened as she reflected on her feelings, explaining internally that Ariana had always been her sole hope. Meeting her in person had only deepened her affection, solidifying her commitment to always support Ariana, regardless of circumstances. Despite this, Adelia kept her true feelings hidden from Lucian. Adelia expressed her fondness for Ariana, describing her as a cute and adorable child. Lucian responded with a skeptical tone, questioning if Adelia had ulterior motives and warning her against causing harm to Ariana. Adelia reassured him, suggesting that their close relationship might make him jealous. She urged Lucian to stop worrying unnecessarily about her bond with Princess Ariana and instead focus on advising her about navigating the imperial family. Adelia inquired about restricted areas in the palace, prompting Lucian to inform her that she could accompany the crown princess anywhere allowed, albeit with a guard escort for supervision. Adelia questioned the necessity of being monitored as a white mage, implying distrust in the guard's intentions. Lucian expressed concern over Adelia being accompanied only by a maid as the crown prince's fiancé. Adelia inferred from his response that he was indeed monitoring her, which confirmed her suspicions. Lucian defended the presence of a guard as following proper etiquette within the palace. Suddenly, they heard a loud noise from the hallway. Adelia wondered aloud if someone was running in the hallway, to which Lucian muttered about a boy causing the disturbance. Before they could react further, the boy burst into the room, loudly addressing Lucian about his impending marriage. Lucian responded sternly to Lawrence, criticizing his loud running in the hallway and entering without knocking, especially while he was with a guest. Lawrence hesitated, addressing Lucian with surprise and uncertainty. Lucian scolded Lawrence, suggesting he needed more etiquette lessons and remarking that he was more immature than Ariana. Lawrence defended himself, explaining that he was simply shocked. Adelia greeted Lawrence politely, introducing herself as Adelia Vita and expressing her honor to meet him. However, Lawrence responded rudely, insulting Adelia by calling her unattractive and dismissing her as unremarkable. This angered Adelia internally, shocked by his disrespectful words. Lawrence continued with his criticism, stating plainly that he did not like her. Lucian intervened, rebuking Lawrence for his lack of manners and reminding him to show respect and give Adelia a proper greeting. Lawrence reluctantly greeted Adelia with a hesitant hello. Adelia responded warmly with a greeting to him as well. Upon closer inspection, Lawrence flinched inwardly, noticing that Adelia seemed somewhat attractive. He quickly dismissed the thought, trying to regain his composure. Lawrence turned to Lucian with a burst of emotion, expressing shock at hearing about Lucian's upcoming marriage upon his return from a short hunt. He criticized the decision, particularly objecting to the idea of Lucian marrying someone like Adelia. Lucian chuckled, brushing off Lawrence's opinion on his marriage and referencing something Lawrence had apparently not heard from their father. Lawrence, surprised, asked what exactly he hadn't been informed about. Lucian questioned Lawrence about whether he had gone straight to him without seeing their father first. Lawrence confirmed that he had, questioning what the issue was. Adelia reflected on Lawrence, noting his nickname as the numbskull of the imperial family, which seemed fitting based on his behavior. Lawrence continued, pressing Lucian for information on what he was supposed to have heard from their father. Lucian then revealed to Lawrence that Adelia standing before them was a white mage. Lawrence stared at Adelia in surprise upon hearing this revelation. He exclaimed in shock, unable to believe that someone he had insulted earlier could be a white mage.